Hello, and welcome to the Remotely Operated Acoustic Technology webinar. Today we're going to talk about safe, fast, scalable, mission-ready communication by Genasys. I'm Robert Putnam, Senior Marketing Manager for Genasys. With me today is Chris Roller, Senior Vice President of Business Development for Genasys. Hi, Chris.
Hello, Robert. Thank you for the invitation. Happy to be here.
Great to have you here. Today we're going to talk about the origins and historical events that shape Genasys proprietary acoustic technologies, why other conventional alerting tools don't quite do the job, how LRAD and acoustics work, the benefits of our newly announced remotely operated acoustic hailing devices, and real-world applications including defense, law enforcement, and public safety of Genasys sound technologies. In the 1990s, Genasys was innovating multiple sound technologies. In October 2000, the USS Cole incident occurred at a port in Yemen. The Cole was docked when a small boat with what appeared to be local civilians began approaching. The sailors aboard the Cole shouted and waved their arms to try to ward the boat away, but the boat continued to approach. At that time, the U.S. Navy did not have a protocol for dealing with these type of situations. The sailors only could wave and shout the boat away or open fire and risk causing an international incident. As we know, the boat was piloted by suicide bombers who pulled alongside the Cole, detonated, killing 17 sailors and injuring 50 others. Knowing Genasys' work on innovative speaker technologies, the U.S. Navy tasked Genasys to work on a long-range voice broadcast system. By 2003, Genasys had innovated its proprietary long-range acoustic device, or LRAD, and also created the acoustic hailing device industry. PA systems, sirens, bullhorns, and other types of conventional loudspeakers have limited reach. Sound disperses and doesn't travel very far. They're vulnerable to hazards and damage from power or network or hazards or damage to power or network infrastructure. And when you just sound sirens, they do not transmit clear instructions of what people should do when the siren sounds. LRAD technology has several advantages that have helped shape the future of sound. This includes focusing sound in a 30-degree beam. By doing so, long-range voice broadcasts become much more intelligible and clear from close range out to 5,000 meters. Conventional loudspeakers disperse sounds in all directions and have limited range. Bullhorns and vehicle PA systems have poor voice intelligibility and also have a very limited broadcast range. With LRAD, you're able to talk to people above background noise from close range out to 5,000 meters. By projecting highly focused audible tones and voice messages from close range to long distances, LRAD was able to ship thousands of these devices to the U.S. Army and to the U.S. Navy between 2005 and 2011. Another historical event occurred in 2011 that brought LRAD technology to public safety mass notification markets. With that, I'll turn it over to Chris.
Thank you, Robert. Just a little background on myself. I've been in the industry since 2004 after the Boxing Day tsunami in Thailand. And I learned about LRAD and Genasys after what Robert mentioned, the 2011 tsunami in Japan. In fact, I was at the Thailand airport when that happened. And the issue with the Fukushima nuclear power plant is there's a 5-mile EPZ, emergency planning zone, around that power plant. And they have sirens around nuclear power plants, mainly for if there's something wrong with the facility, a chemical leak or something like that. And when you hear the siren, you're informed to take shelter, go to lockdown. Very similar in the Midwest. If you hear a tornado siren, you would, seek shelter and you would think it's a tornado. However, after these tsunamis happened, the instructions changed. The instructions are no longer just when you hear a siren, you have to shelter in place. You now have to follow different instructions. A tsunami, you want to head for higher ground. And after the Japan tsunami, people were confused. They heard the sirens that were out there and they sheltered in place when really they needed to head for higher ground. So after that event, Japan did kind of an after action report, and they needed the sirens not to just be tone only sirens or in unintelligible voice. They needed crystal clear voice instructions and to provide not only a warning, but instructions of what to do next. And LRAD and the technology that Robert was talking about, they signed up any vendor that wanted to participate, and they put this in Japan. They put them on buildings, and they had all the different products there, and they had people stand at 500 meters, 1,000 meters, 1,500 meters, 2,000 meters, and they would play a message from each different speaker, and they would basically raise their hand if you could hear it at 500 meters and if you could understand it. And LRAD and Genasys, the product, was the clear best product out there, and we replaced over 790 systems to pretty much most of the coastal areas in Japan and around the power companies there. In other applications, we've done different cities, and we've sold over 100 into 100 different countries, over 500 cities in the U.S., providing different technology, and that is the instructions behind it. One other thing here that we talk about, the STI, the Speech Transmission Index. It's a way to measure clarity, meaning that 100, one is perfect, that you can understand every word that comes out of a speaker. We register a 0.95, meaning that if you can hear the speaker, you can understand 95% of the message, which is fantastic. It's incredible. Back in the day and today, systems out there and a lot of speakers on the market only register 0.5 or 0.45. According to the U.S. military, they had a UFC requirement out there, and 0.5 was okay because that was what the benchmark was. So technically, Genasys has raised the bar to get up to 0.95, which is 95% of intelligibility, which that means that you can clearly understand what the message is being broadcast out. So therefore, you can give instructions, not just only alert people, you can give instructions of what's next. We've taken that technology and not only have used it as Robert was talking about for the military application, we've expanded that and we continually see new markets. So we can not only take these LRADs, the long-range acoustic devices, we can have a focus beam, or we can do it in omnidirectional for community warning. And now we can integrate it with like our remote technology. So you can operate it remotely from for applications like an unmanned vessel. You can communicate it through multiple units and basically synchronizing the LRADs. You can also provide some diagnostics on the systems remotely so that you can make sure before the units are used that they're fully operational. And the great benefit of, we call them long-range acoustic devices, or AHDs, which is acoustic hailing device. That can also be another term for it. It could also be giant voice, outdoor speakers, all things that are kind of in the genre of what LRAD and Genasys does. With this application, we can be able to provide safer operations. We can coordinate faster to get the message out. It also provides greater control to the customer. So you can integrate it with different surveillance systems.
think one
The
of the
benefits of the remotely operated AHDs is you can provide safer operations. You can, which would reduce the exposure to the human element. You could provide faster coordination with the centralized messaging, which you can tie into different speakers. You can activate one speaker or multiple speakers together. It gives you greater control of the system, and it also allows scalability. So you can tie into surveillance systems, access control, providing into the camera so that you can have sight and sound with our products.
And Chris, I think that's one of the great things about what LRAD and acoustics provides, especially for surveillance systems. Currently, surveillance systems only can look and let you know something's going on, but with LRAD and acoustics, you have a first response capability. Be able to go out and talk to people at distance and let them know that you see them, and let them know the consequences if they continue to approach a perimeter or if they're in an unauthorized area. And that way you give people an opportunity to leave and also protect your own security personnel or others who may have to go out there and check out every time a perimeter is breached.
I agree. We have a couple of different applications, I think, with our remotely devices. And some of the customers that have used it is not only militaries for the base protection, border security, also some critical sites. So we have sold our systems to both U.S. and foreign nuclear power plants. We sold them for offshore oil refineries and platforms for communications. We've sold it for military and even systems for like remote power stations that you might not necessarily get a chance to have a person patrol it. And you can tie that system into a camera so that you can get a good sight and sound from the system. So if you see something on a camera, you can then immediately provide a communication to before somebody can even get out there in person to deal with that situation. We do also have systems for crowd communication. The systems have been used for a lot of police departments, both internationally and domestically. And the main purpose of it is to provide instructions. When you have large crowds, it's very difficult to talk over or have people hear a clear message of what is going to happen. It provides direction, instructions, and also keeps people safe, both the user, the police, and also the participants in whatever event it is. It could be a protest, it could be a festival, or any type of event. We sold them even for like rodeos, large music festivals. They use them to communicate in case of inclement weather or a different situation that arises that's unexpected. These are very it blows my mind. I've been here for a while at this company, and there's always different applications, and people have used them for many different things.
Yeah, I think to go along with that, Chris, especially in the law enforcement piece, they use them a lot for SWAT operations where they're serving high-risk warrants or have a barricaded suspect. The ability to pull up and use an LRAD to tell the neighborhood basically to shelter in place while they're conducting an operation without having to go door to door and tell people, and then use the LRAD to talk into the house because they can hear inside the house with the LRAD and be able to give them clear instructions of what to do and have them come out rather than officers knocking on a door and having a high-risk suspect pull a weapon and kill them or injure other people or injure people around them. Potential suicides, people climbing on bridges or buildings, they've used LRAD successfully many times to talk to these people and bring them down rather than having them commit suicide or having an officer expose himself trying to go up and bring them down. So like you pointed out, there's so many different applications where you're trying to protect the public and using clear communication to do so.
Those are excellent points, Robert. I appreciate that. In fact, to carry on to some of your other applications is we've used them for community warning. So something similar as like Laguna Beach has our system. They have over 20 site locations, and they can activate one or many of them. In fact, they used it for an emerald fire. They had 20 different speaker locations. If the fire happened early in the morning, the emergency coordinator was just waking up. He got alerted by the fire department that part of the city was, the fire was targeting that area. Before he even put his shoes on, he went to a mobile app. He was able to alert one of the 20 speakers in that surrounding area, which gave critical communication to those people in that potential threat area without waking up the rest of the city and telling everybody into a mass panic. So it was a very controlled evacuation, and he could do it at his fingertips before he was even putting his shoes on, and he didn't have to go in to the office to be able to alert the system. He could do it right from his fingertips off of a mobile, secure mobile phone.
And I think also, Chris, when you point out LRAD and acoustics public safety mass notification are really changing the way that people communicate, and emergency coordinators and emergency responders use these devices to help keep people informed. We had a major incident last year in North Carolina with Hurricane Helene, where one county in particular was inundated with severe flooding, which knocked out a lot of the critical infrastructure and left officials with really no way to communicate to people. And police were using LRADs mounted on their cruisers to go around and give evacuation warnings to people before the flooding got too severe, and was help them also later on with fires last year. So not only flooding, but fires. And then with the ability to have multiple locations, stationary locations with acoustics, being able to turn those on and off according to what area is impacted, it reduces alert fatigue, where people get a lot of alerts and think, what's that siren? How come we're getting another tornado siren alert? By being able to give people clear instructions that this is a test, or this is a real a tornado drill, or a real hurricane alert, it gives people clear instructions on what they should do. Should they shelter in place? Should they evacuate? Giving them information that they can use and then be able to respond to. And the whole point, again, is to save lives and provide another layer of emergency notification to people when they need it.
Yeah, that's a great point, Robert. One other critical thing is, with our technology, you can do multiple languages. So you can record a message in English and Spanish, or add any language you need to, and repeat it. It's very easy to do, but also provides a lot of instructions, especially when you need to communicate in multiple languages, the crystal clear instructions. So there's just a lot of versatility that comes out of these products, and we just touched on just a couple of them, but we constantly see new applications every day on how this is a public safety and life safety communication system. So I think, Robert, we're wrapping up here. From my point of view, and I've been here in the industry for quite a while, this is the best product I've ever heard. It's night and day if you actually listen to it. I was just down in working with another police department, and we brought a trailer with our speaker, and I can talk about it as much as I want, over the phone or through slides or data sheets and all this information. But when I pulled up and turned on the system, everybody understood why you would choose LRAD and Genasys, the product line, because it is so crystal clear and it can go so far. And people were coming out of the citizens were coming out of their houses going, I heard that. I understood that. That was a pretty cool product. It's kind of like hearing is believing. What do you think, Robert?
And having had the privilege of being here for many years and seeing the development from the very beginning of the acoustic technologies to where we're at today, I'm also amazed. It's great working for a company that uses communication to save lives. One of the major projects that Chris and others have been working on right now is Puerto Rico. We are in the process of putting 37 different acoustics installations at dams throughout Puerto Rico. So when hurricanes hit or severe storms would cause flooding, people downrange of those dams can be forewarned of to leave the area as quickly as possible. And so these are just some of the many applications that are out there. But what Chris said is absolutely true. We can talk about LRAD, we can talk about acoustics, we can show you videos and you can read data sheets, but you only really understand it when you hear it. And when you hear it, not only do you understand it, but you get it and realize what a game changer this is for communication. And we're very proud here at Genasys to provide these acoustic technologies to help save lives here and throughout the world.
Couldn't agree with you more, Robert. That's a very good point. Hearing is believing. That's right.
Exactly. Thank you, everyone, for participating on our webinar today. Thanks to Chris Roller for being here with us. And we hope you will enjoy this webinar and continue to follow us on our website at genasys.com for further webinars. Thank you.
Thank you very much.